With the Mario movie being released and many of you probably haven't watched it by now, it has earned the best opening day for an animated movie ever. So I decided I want to celebrate this occasion with a Mario Galaxy video, and not just any Mario Galaxy video, but a Mario Galaxy challenge video. The challenge in question will be answering a question that has been posed by a great many Mario Galaxy fans and probably why you clicked on this video in the first place, which is it possible to beat Super Mario Galaxy without using any power-ups? Well, this is a very interesting question and the answer is undoubtedly no, but don't click off just yet. Though it isn't possible to beat Mario Galaxy without using at least one power-up in the game, for this video, let's change the question to what is the least number of power-ups needed to beat Super Mario Galaxy from start to finish, meaning collecting 60 stars and defeating Bowser at the end. Well, we're gonna do exactly that in this video, but before we get into that, let's set the rules first before we actually get into the challenge. So obviously the main goal of this entire challenge is to try to not use any power-ups and collect 60 stars in order to face Bowser at the end and beat the game. But if you use a power-up within a level, it classifies as a use and counts towards the total amount at the end. But what actually constitutes as a power-up, you might be asking? Well, a power-up in this game counts as any mushroom, flower, or stars that alters Mario in any way within the game. For example, the bee mushroom allows Mario to fly and makes him lighter and turns him into a bee, while the ice flower turns Mario into ice and allows him to walk on water. We are also counting the red life mushroom as a power-up too, as it doesn't really change Mario in any way. It does give him extra hits within the game, but the only mushroom we won't be counting is the 1-up mushroom, as it gives the player extra life but doesn't alter anything while actually playing the game. But of course, this general rule would make this challenge a bit too easy, being that you can just use a power-up that you get at the start of the level and finish with it, counting it as only one use. And because of that, I've opted to be more strict, as for this challenge, in every section that we get to and the level offers the use of a power-up, you have to unequip the power-up you already have equipped and try that section without it. But if you do need to equip it again to actually get past the section, it counts towards the total number of uses at the end. But if you know right away that you're gonna have to use the power-up, you don't have to re-equip it and it just counts towards the total uses. I know this may sound really confusing, but it'll be pretty easy to understand once we get into the game. And one last thing, you must complete at least 3 stars in each galaxy you unlock, and you must attempt every galaxy in every dome until the 60 star mark. And secret stars do count. But now with the rules set in stone, let's actually get to the challenge and see what we're being put up against. Once we enter the game, we're put into the Mushroom Kingdom, where we have to get through all the starting cutscenes and then chase the bunnies around in order to meet Rosalina to then get the first Grand Star until we actually enter the first galaxy of the game, which is the Good Egg Galaxy, which all of us know has no power-ups whatsoever, but we're able to get through all 3 of these stars without using any power-ups. But the first hurdle is already on the horizon, because now we have reached Hive Galaxy, where we're introduced to the bee mushroom, which was mentioned before in the intro, allows Mario to be lighter and makes him fly. Now the reason I bring up the fact that it makes you lighter is because it allows you to stand on these flowers, which if you stand on them with regular Mario, they disappear. But as bee Mario, you're able to stay on them, which is where we will be counting our first power-up use, because in order to proceed, you need to get to the launch star, which is conveniently on a flower, which is impossible to do because even if you're able to make to the last one as regular Mario, you won't be able to actually get high enough to reach the launch star anyway. So add that to the tally as our first use. Now as for this section, once again, it's literally impossible to get past this without using B Mario, because you have to climb the wall to proceed. But since it's a different section and the level offers the use of the power-up again, we count this as a second use, but we don't unequip it since there's no other way other than dying, so this is a second use of the power-up so far. For the Queen Bee section, the game intends you to use the bee suit to climb onto her and collect the shards off her. But once we reach the section, we can actually unequip the suit by standing in the water and collect them without the use of the bee suit easily, which doesn't count towards the final total. I think you can now understand how keeping track of the final total works, and with that, that's the last time we can use a power-up in this level, since in the next section we collect the power star right away and finish the level. But we're not done with the Hive just yet, because we get to use the bee mushroom one more time in the 3rd star, which is right before the boss, where we have to use the dandelions combined with the bee suit to be able to fly to the next platform. So this counts as use number 3 towards the final total. And if you're wondering about the boss fight, we can actually finish this boss fight without the use of the bee suit, which is sort of difficult but is possible. It just takes a while. But that's the end of the Hive Galaxy and the terrace as a whole, as every other level, including the Hungry Luma, doesn't have a power-up within those levels to potentially use. Now for the fountain, which fortunately for us, other than the secret star located in Battle Rock Galaxy, we get out of it unscathed without using a single power-up, including the Hungry Luma. But this is the only instance within this challenge where this will ever happen, because from now on we'll be using at least one power-up throughout these domes, starting with the kitchen, in which we reach the Ghostly Galaxy. These uses will only be done in the 1st star, where we'll have to save Luigi within the mansion. As you all know, this is where we are introduced to the Ghost Mushroom for the first time, which allows us to phase through grates and fly. This is done twice, when we first enter the mansion and when we actually have to get to Luigi, so that's 2 more uses added to the books, and these will be the only 2 uses that will be done within the kitchen. So now onto the bedroom, where we'll be first met with the Freeze Flame Galaxy. This galaxy in total will have the most uses within the entire challenge, as we will have to use at least one power-up within each of these 3 levels we complete. So let's get into it. For the 1st star, we're going to be forced to use the the ice flower power up to be able to freeze the sprinklers on the wall in order to move on to the next section, as it doesn't appear to be possible to do it any other way, as you're unable to control Mara after using the sling star unless you land. So this is going to count as one use towards the tally, but for the last section of the level, which is the boss fight, no power-ups are necessary as you can defeat it with ease without it. For the second star of the Freeze Flame Galaxy, we are able to skip this entire section of the level without the help of the fire flower, with this little trick jump, if you would even call it that is seen on screen, which isn't that hard to pull off at all. But the first use of the fire flower will be in the very next section, where you have to raise the walls by igniting the flames using the fire flowers. There's no other alternative since there's no other way to reach the top other than the intended method, so this is going to be the first use of this power up in this level. But now for the last section of this level, which is to free the power star from the cage by again using the fire flower to ignite the flames. So this will be the second use and the final use of the fire flower within this level. But now onto the third star, which will be using power-ups galore. For the first section, we need to again ignite the flames using the fire flower in order to spawn a launch star. Now in my attempt, I was an idiot and forgot the route, and initially thought I had to use a fire flower to then free a fire flower. For whatever reason I thought that, so I tried to skip it and actually got back to the end in time and ignited one flame, but I ran out just before I could do the second one. But since in reality it only takes one use to actually get it done, we'll count it as one to make the final total as accurate as possible. The final section of this level is where the most power-ups will be used, as since we stated the rule of if the game offers it, you must try to do the section without it or else it counts as a use. Well, this entire section is fire, so we'll be counting every ice flower that we use, which prolongs the time of the power-up, which is 3 times. And with that, we get the last power star of the Freeze Flame Galaxy, and we move on to Honey Climb Galaxy, where we're gonna need to use the Beam Mushroom throughout the entire level, which in total will be 3 uses as the level offers it at the start of each section, which is 3 sections in total. And now at the end of the Honey Climb Galaxy, we bring the end of the bedroom all together, as the other galaxies don't require the use of a power-up whatsoever. But won't you look at that, we're nearing the end of the video. But before we get to the next film, I want to remind you all to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, for liking the video so far and want more content like this. But now let's get to the engine and be done with this challenge. The Gold Leaf Galaxy will be the first galaxy in which we face the use of a power-up, and it is located on the second star within the galaxy. In the first section of the level, we're able to skip it entirely by performing a triple jump and a wall jump spin to make it to the launch star without the use of the Beam Mushroom as intended. But for the last section, we're forced to use the Beam Mushroom as our old adversaries, the flowers, have returned, and as mentioned previously, you can only land on them using the bee suit, so it will be pretty much impossible to do it without the power-up. And for those wondering, I didn't forget about the secret star in the second level, as I got that before I actually completed the second star, which does count towards the 3-star minimum for each galaxy as said at the start. Now for Seaside Galaxy, where we use power-up starting on the 3rd star, which is us having to collect the silver stars to forge the actual power star. The first instance in which we use a power-up is to collect the star on this platform, which we have to use the Beam Mushroom to land on the cloud and collect the star on the platform. I'm sure there's some way to collect the star without actually using the power-up, but I just couldn't figure it out and how to execute it. So if you guys want to try out for yourself, be my guest and let me know in the comments if you're successful. But the next uses are sequential, as we get the final star on top of the tree and we use the Beam Mushroom to actually get onto the tree, as a long jump just doesn't cut it. But since this level offers the use of a Beam Mushroom in this section, we must count it towards the uses, as we use the Beam Mushroom to actually get to the star and finish the level. So this level alone will count as 3 uses towards the final tally. And speaking of things being final, let's get to the final dome, which is the garden, in order to face Bowser and end this challenge, which brings us to the Deep Dark Galaxy. The first star of this galaxy will contain one use of a power-up, which is the Fire Flower, which is used for, you guessed it, to light the flames and open the doors for us to proceed through the level. And again, in the second star of the galaxy, we use the Fire Flower once again to light the flames, but this time not to open the door, but to spawn in the Ice Flower, which we use to get up the sprinklers in order to proceed. I do not believe it's possible to get past this without the use of the Ice Flower, as the pole is a bit too high to reach, so we count this as a use of a power-up within the level and the final use of a power-up within the game altogether. Yes, you heard me correctly, that was the last time we use a power-up in the game, as we can get to the 60-star mark without using any in the future. Now all we have to do is complete Dreadnought Galaxy in regular fashion and fight Bowser, which obviously doesn't contain any power-ups, and collect the final Grand Star to finish the game. But now for what you've all been waiting for, the final tally, as I doubt anyone was actually keeping count. Drum roll please. 23. The minimum number of power-ups that we must use to beat the game is 23. Which to me was pretty surprising, as I expected it to be lower. But when we play the game, it doesn't actually seem like a lot, but in reality it's quite a bit. Unfortunately, there isn't any way to actually beat the game without the use of any power-ups. At least we know the minimum number, which I guess should count for something, right? No, not really, because it's not completely 0. I can't believe I just wasted your time. I just wanted to entertain you all, that's all. I'm sorry. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed the video, because it was a pretty fun challenge to do. And if you guys want more stuff like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as it shows me you guys want more of this kind of content and you guys are liking the videos coming out as well. Hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all in the next video.